It was supposed to be a perfect summer night. Cheryl Henry, a bubbly 22-year-old college student, had just met 21-year-old Andy Atkinson, an aspiring model with piercing green eyes and a Hollywood smile. They'd only known each other for 2 weeks, but they were already inseparable. On August 22, 1990, they drove to a secluded area in West Houston known as Lover's Lane, a popular spot for young couples seeking privacy. By sunrise, they were both dead. Andy was found tied to a tree, his throat slashed so deeply he was nearly decapitated. Cheryl had been brutally assaulted, her body hidden under wooden boards with a crisp $20 bill lying beside her. The killer left his DNA, but 35 years later, he's never been caught. This is the story of Houston's most haunting unsolved murder. Welcome back to Old Man Reactions. I'm Andy, and this channel is dedicated to bringing you lesser-known true crime cases that deserve attention. If you're fascinated by unsolved mysteries and cold cases, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It really helps us continue covering these important stories. Today, we're covering a case that shocked Houston in 1990 and remains unsolved to this day. 2 young people with their whole lives ahead of them, murdered in what should have been a safe place. Let's dive in. Cheryl Henry was 22 years old in the summer of 1990. She was home from Stephen F. Austin State University in Nacogdoches, where she was studying to become a teacher. Her family describes her as bubbly, loving, and the kind of person who lit up every room she walked into. She was the oldest of 6 children and took that role seriously, always looking out for her younger siblings. To make money over the summer, Cheryl worked at Rick's Cabaret, a gentleman's club on Bering Drive in Houston. It wasn't glamorous work, but it paid well, and Cheryl was focusing on finishing her degree. Andy Atkinson had just turned 21. He'd recently moved to Houston from North Carolina after completing a semester at Campbell University. His father, Garland Atkinson, lived in the Houston area, and Andy wanted to be closer to family. Friends and family remember Andy as charming, with piercing green eyes and a smile people couldn't forget. He had dreams of becoming a model and had already started building his portfolio. To pay the bills, Andy worked at Gold's Gym on the Gulf Freeway and occasionally worked a door at Dream Street, a nightclub managed by his father. In August 1990, Cheryl and Andy met through mutual friends. They hit it off immediately. Cheryl's sister Shane later said her eyes lit up when she talked about him. She thought he was amazing inside and out. They had only known each other for 2 weeks, but they were already falling in love. On the evening of August 22, 1990, Cheryl and Andy decided to go out. Cheryl's younger sister Shane and her boyfriend joined them for what was supposed to be a fun night out. The 4 of them met up at Bayou Mama's, a popular nightclub on Westheimer near South Gessner. By all accounts, it was a great night. The couples laughed, danced, and enjoyed each other's company. Around 11 p.m., Shane and her boyfriend decided to call it a night. Shane later recalled saying goodbye to her sister with their usual exchange. "We kissed each other goodbye and told each other we loved each other. That's what we always did." That was the last time anyone saw Cheryl and Andy alive. After leaving the club, Cheryl and Andy drove to a secluded area in West Houston, a spot locals called Lover's Lane. It was an undeveloped wooded area off Enclave Parkway near Eldridge Parkway. Back then, it was a popular spot for young couples looking for privacy. The area was dark, isolated, and surrounded by trees. They parked Andy's white Honda Civic on a dirt cul-de-sac. The front seats were reclined. The engine was off, but the key was still in the auxiliary position so the radio would play. Cheryl had kicked off her shoes and left her purse on the floorboard. It was a perfect summer night. But someone else was there that night. Someone who was watching, waiting. When Cheryl didn't come home that night, her family immediately knew something was wrong. Cheryl had just started a new job and was never late. This wasn't like her at all. Her mother, Barbara Craig, called the police first thing in the morning. Shortly after, they got a call from a security guard. He'd found Andy's white Honda Civic parked in an isolated area off Enclave Parkway. Cheryl's purse and shoes were inside the car, but there was no sign of Cheryl or Andy. There was also something else: fresh blood in the car. Within minutes, family members and friends rushed to the scene, even before police arrived. When officers finally got there, they called in tracking dogs to search the surrounding woods. What they found was a nightmare. About 100 yards from the car, police found Andy Atkinson tied to a tree. His hands were behind his back with rope. His throat had been slashed so deeply that he was nearly decapitated. He was fully clothed and still had his watch and wallet on him. Robbery wasn't the motive. As the search continued, officers made an even more horrific discovery. Cheryl's body had been found hidden under a pile of wooden boards and fence planks. She was naked. Her hands had been bound behind her back with the same type of rope used on Andy. She had 3 deep gashes across her throat. Evidence at the scene showed she had been brutally sexually assaulted. And there was something else, something bizarre. A crisp $20 bill was lying next to her body. But that wasn't all. Police found Andy's golf club lying in the field, and 3 golf balls lined up in a row, pointing directly toward Cheryl's hidden body. 4 deflated balloons were tied to the tree above her. Detectives were baffled. Why leave these objects? Was it a signature, a taunt, or something else entirely? Houston police immediately launched a massive investigation. Retired Detective Billy Belk spent the next 20 years of his career working the case. He traveled the country comparing DNA samples, interviewing hundreds of potential suspects, and following every lead. The killer had left behind DNA, semen collected from Cheryl's body during the autopsy. This was 1990, and DNA technology was relatively new and expensive, but investigators knew this evidence could eventually break the case. One by one, suspects were identified and cleared through DNA testing. Years passed. The case went cold. Then, in 2007, 17 years after the murders, Detective Belk got the call he'd been waiting for. The DNA from Cheryl's killer had been matched to another crime. 2 months before the Lovers Lane murders on June 20th, 1990, a 30-year-old exotic dancer had been raped in her home in northwest Houston. The woman worked at a club called Gigi's. She came home after her shift around 2 a.m. to find a man waiting for her inside her house. The attacker wore a fishnet stocking over his face, black gloves, and what appeared to be a dark uniform, possibly a security guard uniform. He held a long-barreled handgun in his left hand. He knew her boyfriend's name. "Where's Randy?" he asked. He taunted her, held the gun to her head, and bound her hands with gray duct tape before robbing and assaulting her. The DNA from that assault matched the DNA found from the Lovers Lane murders. Same killer. But here's where it gets even stranger. The rape victim told police something that sent chills down investigators' spines. She had once worked for Andy Atkinson's father, Garland. Was this a coincidence? Or did the killer have some connection to the Atkinson family? Working with the rape survivor, famed Houston police sketch artist Lou Gibson created a composite sketch of the attacker. The sketch was also age progressed to show what he might look like decades later. The rape victim also told detectives something important. He had a very forceful, military-style stance about himself. This suggested the killer might have had law enforcement or military training. Despite this major breakthrough, the killer's identity remained a mystery. His DNA wasn't in any national database. To this day, he's never been identified. Over the years, investigators and true crime experts have developed several theories about who might have killed Cheryl and Andy. The first theory is the strip club connection. Remember, Cheryl worked at Rick's Cabaret, a gentleman's club. Andy occasionally worked the door at Dream Street, a club managed by his father, and the June rape victim worked at Gigi's, another adult club. Was the killer someone who frequented these clubs? A regular customer, an employee, someone in security? The fact that the killer wore what looked like a security uniform during the rape suggests he might have worked in that industry. The $20 bill found next to Cheryl's body could also be significant. Tipping is common at strip clubs. The second theory, he knew them. An FBI profile from the case states that the suspect may have known Cheryl or Andy, or both. The profile notes that the covering of Cheryl's body speaks of a prior personal relationship. The fact that the rape victim worked for Andy's father is deeply suspicious. Was there a connection to the Atkinson family that police never uncovered? Detective Belk once said, "Sometimes I think they were targeted." And then the third theory, the Lover's Lane predator. Was the killer someone who prowled Lover's Lane looking for victims? Someone who knew the area well and used the isolation to his advantage? The brutality of the attack, especially the fact that Andy was forced to watch Cheryl's murder before being killed himself, suggests someone with deep rage or sadistic tendencies. Police believe Cheryl was killed first while Andy was tied to the tree. Andy's father later said that means he was tied to a tree and listened to her scream. Listened to her being murdered, knowing they were going to do the same thing to him. And what about those strange objects left at the scene? The golf balls pointing to Cheryl's body, the deflated balloons, the $20 bill. Were these trophies? Taunts? Or did they have some personal meaning to the killer? To this day, investigators don't know. It's been 35 years since Cheryl Henry and Andy Atkinson were murdered on Lover's Lane. The area where they died is now a developed business corridor with office buildings and parking garages. It's hard to imagine it was once an isolated wooded area, but their families have never forgotten. In 2001, someone sent a handwritten letter to Houston police demanding $100,000 in exchange for information about the killings. The return address on the envelope was signed Cheryl Henry and Andy Atkinson. Police responded to the letter, but nothing ever came of it. Was it written by the killer, or was it a sick hoax? In recent years, familial DNA testing has helped solve dozens of cold cases across the country, including other high-profile cases in Houston. Investigators have submitted the killer's DNA for familial testing, hoping that a relative of the killer might be in the database. So far, there have been no matches. Cheryl's mother, Barbara Craig, has never stopped searching for answers. In 2023, a family member took out a full-page newspaper ad with photos of Cheryl and Andy begging anyone with information to come forward. Barbara once said, "To be killed is horrible, but to be terrorized, tied up, raped, to think her last moments were of terror and I wasn't there," because mothers, that's their job, to make it better. The Houston Police Department's Cold Case Squad still considers this an active investigation. They're hoping that advances in DNA technology will finally identify the killer. The killer is likely still alive. He'd be in his 60s or 70s probably by now. He's walked free for 35 years, but the families believe justice will come. If you have any information about the murders of Cheryl Henry and Andy Atkinson, please contact the Houston Police Department's Cold Case Squad or Crime Stoppers at 713-222-TIPS. Your tip could be anonymous. Someone out there knows something. Maybe you worked at one of those clubs in 1990. Maybe you remember someone who acted strangely around that time. Maybe you recognize the composite sketch. After 35 years, it's time for justice. Thanks for watching. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more true crime content. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think happened. And as always, stay safe out there. God bless you, everybody.